I think that I love the journey and the game of entrepreneurship so much that I have subconsciously sabotaged my financial upside to make sure I can play this a little longer, because I fear if the numbers keep getting too big, eventually it will take the fun out of it.
Tom Ferry assaulted Gary Vee's attack on the real estate industry, and Gary Vee made a response video. Well, now we're going to respond to that to point out why Gary's real estate advice is actually pretty damaging to especially entrepreneurs, the group of people he tries to target. Let's get into it. And stay tuned to the end for my challenge for Gary Vee. So here's a little background as far as what's been going on. In January, Gary hosted a real estate event. That is an event dedicated towards real estate agents. Then, essentially right after that, went on a podcast, or had a podcast guest, where he slammed home ownership and said that he would never own a house again, that he would rent in perpetuity. Well, that left the real estate industry quite upset and wondering, wait a minute, Gary, what exactly is going on here? That's also when I came out with a response video towards some of the statements Gary made in this podcast, which Gary has since responded to. But now we're going to take apart some of Gary's responses, because I finally figured out why Gary is wrong on real estate. You're going to see exactly why.
People buy homes, people buy fancy cars, they buy it and they go to college for one reason: for significance.
100%.
They wrap that shit up.
Acceptance.
Right, acceptance.
Acceptance.
I want to show.
But here's the thing, real quick. Let me tell you the difference between a Lambo and owning your own home. I'm looking at some people here. We're all looking at each other, right? You just don't know if you own the home or not. Like, you don't have to know. Yeah. Like, I know you're driving a fucking Lambo. I see it. Yeah. But you live in a home. I actually have no fucking clue how much mortgage you have on that home. Do you rent it? Right? I'm telling you this thing. And by the way, this is my thesis to why it will fall. I'm not saying fashion will fall. Fashion will never fall. I gotta show you that I'm wearing fly fucking clouds and dirt, or a Gucci bag, or shit, or an Under Armour. Like, that's how we express.
This is where Gary makes his first fatal mistake. He equates real estate to owning status symbol items like Lambos and watches and shoes, or going to Coachella. But that is the first mistake that I teach people about in the real estate investing course. That real estate should be a matter of understanding the difference between guns and butter. See, Gary takes the butter approach and says, hey, if you want a fancy house, a fancy status symbol, then you should wait until you're 39 to 42.
I believe that a lot of entrepreneurial, on the offense, 20 to 35-year-olds should not put down payments on homes, use that capital to build wealth, and then buy their home at 39, 42, 44, because I have a funny feeling that home will look different.
Seriously, come on. It's like, get it right, Gary. It's about the intention of buying a house. You go into buying a house for an investment, and you're gonna move around and acquire more property. You're not trying to buy some fancy house so you can show it off like that social status symbol you think it is. Come on, Gary. There's another way here. That's what we want to do. Add some perspective.
So let's clarify the difference a little bit of guns and butter, or at least the theory of guns and butter. Guns are things like stocks, machinery, and real estate. Things that can either go up in value or produce value somehow. Now, of course, it's important not to confuse assets with liabilities here. There's a lot of the whole rich dad, poor dad talk that houses are liabilities, but it's very important to remember that assets, things that produce value, can have liabilities against them, that is debt against them, much like jewelry could have credit card debt against it. And that's exactly what butter is. Butter is going to be that unnecessary expense, those unnecessary pleasantries like those fancy shoes or fancy trips that you can't afford, which again, you can get debt on, but aren't necessary because they're not producing you value. Much like the car, that new car you really gotta have, that new Jeep Wrangler that I really want. As soon as I drive it off the lot, it's going down in value. That I want because I want it, not because it produces value. It's a butter item.
So it's kind of like things that go down in value are bad to spend money on, and it happens to be that real estate over the long run tends to go up in value. Sure, there are ups and downs, but you know, real estate is an investment. And people are always like, I don't want to get tied down by the 30-year mortgage. Yeah, but you got an asset that goes up in value. So what? You're paying off some debt. Big deal. It's a different kind of debt.
So let's talk gun houses versus butter houses. Well, gun houses are those kind of houses that you can buy where your total payment after you buy it, including money for repairs and fix-up, is less than what you would otherwise be paying in rent. Now all of a sudden you've got a forced savings account and a property that can go up in value. Gun houses are also those kind of properties that you could buy in the wedge. That is, the day you close escrow with, let's say, your 20 grand down payment, you're already up 20 or 40 grand in equity. That's buying in the wedge. Or you get into such a good deal that you can rent out rooms and cover all of your payments and house hack and basically live for free by owning and controlling real estate. These methods are methods we talk about all of the time in the real estate investing course, link below, and these are really good ideas for helping especially young people build wealth right away and over time. This is in contrast to butter houses. Butter houses are those kind of houses in contrast to the gun houses, the investment house, where butter houses don't make mathematical sense. The payment is way higher than what the rent would be. They wouldn't make good rental properties because they have liabilities like pools or spas, or a lot of maintenance is going to be required for these houses. And this is usually going to be your larger and fancier house that doesn't make sense for a long-term tenant anyway because they'd probably be buying. They're usually those houses with excessive upgrades as well, like that maple flooring that's super fancy and expensive, or $30,000 in imported marble, and all this junk that really doesn't matter when you consider a gun versus butter. So that's Gary's first fatal mistake, is he combines and lumps together butter houses with houses that could be gun houses or really good investment decisions. That's also what brings up Gary's second fatal flaw. That is using money that you could spend on a house in a business. But Gary forgets that you could actually combine owning real estate as a tool to help you build your business faster and better.
20 to 35-year-olds should not put down payments on homes, use that capital to build wealth, and then buy their home at 39, 42, 44, because I have a funny feeling that home will look different and won't take them out of the game of opportunity.
Gary, home ownership is like the American citizen's #1 way towards passive income. Historically, people want passive income. Well, we kind of all want passive income, yet the house has been the easiest way to produce that. Your payment stays like this, and prices go up over time, and rents go up over time. I mean, the difference is passive income. And then one day it's paid off, and it's all passive.
And how else to explain this than to talk about my own example, because I'm sick of hypothetical crap on YouTube. And let's give you a real example here. At 18 years old, I got my real estate license, which what is real estate but a sales career and building a brand around your name and your reputation. So on one hand, I was starting a business, and on the other hand, I was thinking, well, I should probably buy real estate as well. So Lauren, my wife, and I, we bought a house at 19 years old that was a complete fixer-upper. Needed to be gutted, and well, actually the kitchen wasn't even there, so it was already partially gutted. And we bought this house with just 3.5% down. That same 16 to 20 grand that Gary talks about starting with.
So her $100,000 home, 10 years later, I'm fascinated by what happens if she pays rent instead and has that $16,000 to go to work. That's all.
And we took that money, bought a really good deal, a wedge deal house. We didn't over-improve it, we didn't overspend on it, and all of a sudden, a year after that, we were able to tap into $150,000 of positive net worth in the property through a home equity line of credit. Now let's explain that a little bit.
See, I mean, it's really like Gary is kind of saying, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you shouldn't own a house, you should just go one way, when in reality you could kind of do both. Like, let's talk about debt.
See, business debt is really expensive. You have 3 real options when it comes to business debt. You have credit cards, which we all know those are high fees, high interest. I mean, you're talking 15 to 25%. Then you can get what are called business loans, but those kind of suck too. I mean, those are usually 9 to 15%. I know because I've used all 3 types of business debt before. Then you have business lines of credit, which the bummer about business lines of credit is they usually only let you go up to about 10% of whatever your gross revenue is, so it's really hard when you're starting out to get a business line of credit. And guess what? Those rates are like 6 to 10%. So flip that to when we used our house to expand my business when I was 20 years old. We look at it and we go, what? I can get a home equity line of credit for 4 to 6%? Cheaper money, safer money than business line of credit debt because the terms are much safer, much more beneficial. And now what can I do? I can spend on expanding the business I had already started growing. The business I started growing at 19 with virtually no money. What did I do? Door knocking, open houses, and spending time rather than money at first, which really all entrepreneurs should start with. This is why I call this a fatal flaw of Gary's. He suggests, no, don't buy real estate, don't buy real estate, where my quote is always buy real estate and then wait. He's saying wait to buy real estate until you're 39, 42, because then you can get that fancier house. But I don't want that fancier house. I want to control investment properties. I want to build net worth. I want to have tax benefits, especially as an entrepreneur on the offense. I want the access to cheap debt. I want depreciation and cash flow from rental properties to grow over time. People think, oh yeah, real estate investing. I'll just wait until I'm 40 to invest in real estate. No, start now so you can get on the ride of appreciation and start building that net worth and having that access to cheaper capital. I think Gary confuses that significantly, which is very, well, it's kind of offensive to younger entrepreneurs because it'd be a great opportunity to build money and wealth over time. And I'm not just saying that as a real estate agent, because guess what the third fatal flaw is? The third fatal flaw is forgetting that real estate enables you to save money in a manner that is basically forced. When you pay off your loan every month, you're forced into what's called principal paydown. That's kind of like having a forced savings account. And what does Tom Ferry tell us? Tom Ferry tells us that people who save money over time have a significantly greater net worth. Gary encourages saving as well.
An amazing piece of advice for a lot of kids, 50-year-olds, whoever's listening right now, is like saving money is a good strategy. Like,
That's it. The title is Gary Vee Hates Passive Income in Real Estate. Why? Because you passively save when you own real estate. And as soon as you convert it into a rental property, what happens? The tenant passively generates income for you by paying off your debt and your expenses on the property. That is passive income at its best, especially when you have a manager covering everything, dealing with everything for you. It's totally hands-off. Property's going up in value and the tenant's covering your expenses. That is passive income. And Gary Vee is not recognizing that the biggest fad of the 2019 world is passive income, and real estate is the easiest way to get passive income.
But the bottom line is people who don't own houses tend not to save money, tend to grow money and spend it. And that's a little bit of a problem. Now, Gary also suggests that, oh, well, you know, I don't want people to think that people shouldn't buy a house because that's gonna hurt real estate agents' sales or whatever. And I get that. I mean, look, I'm not trying to encourage you to buy houses to sell you a house, just like I tell all the people in the real estate investment course, don't sell your real estate. Keep your real estate. Why would you pay so many fees to sell when rather you could keep a property, live in a house, keep it, live in it meagerly, use the property, move, keep that first property as a rental, do it again and again and again. So Gary, here's my challenge to you. How about we combine an entrepreneurial vision of gaining net worth and building a business with the same vision in real estate, which can not only insulate business risk by owning safe real estate assets and investing in the correct way, in the ways that I outline in the real estate investing course, but also using less expensive debt to finance business projects when we need to. Now all of a sudden, building business net worth and building real estate net worth via rental properties and home ownership together at the same time. Thereby we can skip the kicks and instead buy real estate.
Hey, now if you've made it this far, please leave me a comment below. I really want to know your opinion on sort of my public commentary on Gary Vee. I really like Gary Vee. I support Gary Vee. I just think he is missing the real estate investor perspective when he talks about real estate advice. This isn't to say that he's a bad person for giving his opinion or for me disagreeing with him, and I don't think you're a bad person if you disagree with me, but I would love to hear your comments because I think my channel is all about fostering debate and coming up with different perspectives so that we can, as a society, end up wealthier and better off together. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and be part of the 100,000 crowd before, well, we hit 100,000 because now we're at 89.4 according to the counter that's over there. It used to be over there, but now Chucky is there. So, yeah, thanks.